Utah, Ms. Love.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. In previous hearings regarding the Fed and monetary policy, we had discussions about the Fed being just as bad as everyone else at economic and financial forecasting, despite having an army of PhD economists running complex computer models. Why do you think the Fed is so bad at forecasting? And I was wondering if I can get your thoughts on that, Dr. Plosser.
I think that economists in general are not that great of forecasters. It's just the reality of it. Much of the things that go wrong with forecasts are things that are events that occur that weren't forecastable and therefore cause problems. I also think that actually raises the importance of the distinction between what we might call a rules-based strategy and a discretionary strategy. Discretionary strategy says the Fed will do what it wants to do when it wants to do it for reasons that it feels it wants to, okay? That's very unpredictable as to how that's going to respond.
Right.
But the future is uncertain, always has been uncertain and will continue to be uncertain. The value of many of the rules-based strategies and the strategies where you articulate, well, what will the Fed do if this or this happens?
Right.
All right? That reduces uncertainty. You don't have to guess what the Fed will do. It won't make up new reasons for doing the things it's doing. It will be a bit more predictable.
Okay.
Because the future is predictable.
Right.
So I think that we have to just accept the fact that the future is unpredictable and think about strategies that allows the Fed to operate in an unpredictable world in a predictable way.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I'm trying to figure out a way to do that. So, according to former Federal Reserve Board Governor Kevin Warsh, currency stability is one of growth's best friends. He also worried that the Fed's extraordinary tools, encouraging businesses to favor financial engineering over capital investment, and consequently weakened growth in business investments, is providing to be an opportunity killer for workers. Do you agree with that assessment or disagree with that assessment? Yes, yes. I'm still sticking with you. Yes.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to Dr.
No.
Levin. I agree with most of it. I do think that many of us said during both a very low interest rate period when we reached zero and during quantitative easing that much of the effects of those efforts were absorbed in financial reengineering by companies, sort of restructuring corporate debt policies. And one of the big puzzles for the recovery, and one of the reasons it was slow, was the fact that real business investment didn't grow like it had in previous recoveries. It wasn't as responsive to the typical tools of monetary policy. We saw this effect in financial reengineering, restructuring of debt, so forth and so on. So I think there's I share a lot of the concerns in that statement. Yes.
Okay, I want to get to Dr. Levy because we've had an opportunity to discuss this before. You and I have talked in previous hearings about the relationship between monetary policy and employment. And why do you think that the Fed's policies have been such a boom for what Kevin Warsh has referred to as financial engineering, while leaving too many Americans underemployed and barely able to make ends meet?
I mean, this is a great question. So getting back to Dr. Plosser's comment and Kevin Warsh's comment, it's critically important to point out that while the Fed was very successful in lowering the real cost of capital, businesses didn't respond, and they didn't respond for a host of non-monetary reasons, including tax and regulatory policies. Now, to your point on employment, there are so many factors affecting employment and wages that go so far beyond monetary policy. Productivity's been slow. I mean, this should be a subcommittee on education because let me give you an important statistic. 85 million people, working age population, have a high school degree or less. The wages tend to be low. Monetary policy can't do anything about it. Okay, so and you could go through a host of other government regulations. So this is why I'm emphasizing that we all want higher standards of living.
Right.
The issue is, what is the proper role of monetary policy? So the Fed could add on QE3 and 4 and up to a zillion, and it's just not going to create the type of employment gains and wage gains
Yeah.
that we all really want.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Thank you.
Gentlelady's time has expired. The chair now recognizes